You're not crazy. If your Salesforce instance feels like a money pit, if your reps are refusing to use it, if you're still stuck in spreadsheets and gut feelings, you are not alone. But you are bleeding revenue, and you don't have to be. Let me tell you about a project that I recently worked on with a B2B equipment finance company. 20 Salesforce users spread out across the United States. They were paying well over $100,000 in annual licensing costs, not only for Salesforce, but also lots of other AppExchange apps that no one was really using. Essentially, $0 in actual value being captured from all of these tools. They were paying for 20 licenses, but no one, and I mean absolutely zero human beings, were actually using Salesforce. Why? Because it wasn't just bad. It was a digital disaster. A radioactive dumpster fire of broken processes. A graveyard of abandoned data. A monument to wasted potential. Every login was essentially lighting a $100 bill on fire in terms of lost productivity. The CEO knew it. The sales team knew it. This wasn't just software collecting dust. This was a $100,000 a year leak in their revenue bucket that nobody knew how to patch. I got brought in by someone who had recently joined the company and was familiar with how I handle cleanup projects like this one. She said, "David, it's a mess. Everyone hates it. We don't even know what to fix first." I logged into their Salesforce and wow, everyone was set up as a system admin. And every rep had a different kind of page layout and a different profile. 3 different industry fields. They had multi-select pick list fields to track who was responsible for each opportunity. Have you ever heard of opportunity owner? That multi-select pick list still included names of people who left the company years ago. Are you kidding me? They had record types, profiles, page layouts named after employees who'd left years ago. They had charts everywhere, tabs and subtabs that no one touched. Chatter, front and center on every record page, even though no one was using Chatter. It looked like a candy factory exploded inside of Salesforce. Frankly, I didn't know where to start either. This was a chaotic scene that I have experienced a million times before, but I really had no clue where to prioritize my efforts. Part of me just wanted to log out, close the computer, and scream in horror. But of course, I didn't do that. Instead, I set up a Zoom call with their top sales reps, the loudest complainers. These were not rookies. These were seasoned closers who had completely given up on Salesforce. I deliberately sought out the most vocal critics, the ones who not only were rolling their eyes in management meetings, they also had lots of colorful language about the CRM. Each of them had 10 plus years of experience and brought in millions of dollars annually to the company, just not in Salesforce. They'd seen systems come and go, and they could smell a waste of time from miles away. Their calendars were battle zones of customer meetings. Even for me to get 30 minutes on their calendar was like I was asking for a kidney. But I persisted, promising just one thing. I won't waste their time with consultant speak. This is their chance to be brutally honest with me about what's broken. When they finally joined the call, their body language said it all. Arms crossed, leaning back, expressions that screamed, "Prove you're different." Some were checking their computer. I don't know if they were looking at emails, looking at Facebook. They were clearly expecting to be part of another waste of time, pointless meeting. One rep even announced that he had a hard stop in 15 minutes, essentially silently daring me to make an impression before his escape. These weren't just salespeople frustrated with software. These were revenue-generating experts who had built workarounds because the system had failed them too many times. They hadn't given up because they were lazy. They'd given up because continuing to try seemed irrational. And I didn't show up with slides. No PowerPoint deck. No fancy presentation. No prepared solutions that would force them into yet another box. I showed up with a blank page in Notion. That's what I shared on my screen, a blank page in Notion. At the top of the page, it said, feedback from sales, reasons why Salesforce sucks. Nothing else. Just that title and empty space below it. No checkboxes, no leading questions, no survey format trying to fit their pain into my predefined categories. I shared my screen on purpose with this empty canvas because I wanted to make a point. I watched their reactions. Some of them smirked. Others leaned forward with curiosity, like, what the hell is he doing now? The most skeptical one raised an eyebrow as if thinking, is this guy for real? Then I broke the silence. I told them, I said, this is your time to vent. I am here to listen. We're not BSing here. There's no fluff. Please tell me what's broken. Tell me why Salesforce sucks. Nothing is off limits. Be as specific or as general as you want. I am not here to defend the system or the people who set it up. I'm here to understand why it's failing for you and what I can do for you to help make your jobs easier, not harder. I'm not here to shove Salesforce down your throat. I'm here to listen to you and to understand why this system doesn't work for you. And these sales reps, they didn't hold back. They unloaded with raw, unfiltered truth that nobody in leadership had ever heard before. One rep looked at me dead in the eyes, leaned forward and said, I avoid Salesforce like it's radioactive waste. I'd rather call a prospect cold than log it into that system. Another physically recoiled when I mentioned the word reports. He threw both hands up and shouted, everything is buried 6 clicks deep. By the time I find what I need, my prospect has gone cold. The entire room erupted in agreement, heads nodding like they were at a rock concert. Their top closer, the guy billing $2.8 million annually, pushed his chair back and confessed, look, I run my entire book on an Excel spreadsheet that I built myself. It's not pretty, but I can update 20 accounts in the time that it takes Salesforce to load one single page. Then he pulls out his phone and he showed me the actual stopwatch tests that he's done. He was not exaggerating. Their newest rep, who'd come from a company with a proper CRM setup, was the most brutal. He said, this system actively punishes productivity. Every minute that I spend fighting with Salesforce costs me exactly $94 in commission. I did the math. The final nail, their director, the one who's supposed to champion the system. He quietly shook his head and said with complete resignation, it slows us down, period. And then he added, and management wonders why we're missing targets. We're spending 40% of our day wrestling with software instead of talking to customers. You could cut the frustration in that room with a knife, but that tension, that anger, that was pure gold for me because it told me exactly what needed to be fixed. But here's what made the difference. They saw me write down everything that they said. They saw me capture screenshot after screenshot of whatever they were showing me, bullet point after bullet point of anything they mentioned. They saw I was not judging them. I was not trying to defend anyone or anything. This was just real-time documentation of their reality. And that's critical, because people don't trust until they feel understood. You see, most Salesforce consultants walk in with either pre-built solutions, or they're just looking to sort of show off the kinds of stuff that they've done before, the new features that they really love. They've earned a Trailhead badge or a certification. They worked on a project that did this, that, and the other thing, and they want to sort of impose that onto the next project that they work on. Instead, I walked in with a blank canvas, and I earned their trust by actually listening. That's when the entire energy in the room shifted. People who were leaning back with arms crossed suddenly started leaning forward. The skepticism in their eyes turned into curiosity. One rep who hadn't said a word the entire meeting suddenly spoke up. "Wait, can you actually fix this? Like, for real?" The question was not being asked with hope. It was actually being asked with doubt. The skepticism in his voice, with the weight of dozens of broken promises from previous consultants who'd promised solutions but delivered nothing. And that skepticism was the exact reaction that I wanted. Because when you convert a skeptic, you don't just get a user, you get an evangelist. Then I flipped the script completely. I leaned forward and I said, "Can each of you show me all of the spreadsheets that you're using instead of Salesforce? The ones that you're hiding on your desktop that actually run your business. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Those sacred Excel files that are meticulously crafted, the ones they protect like their firstborn child. The spreadsheets they curl up with at night, while Salesforce sits abandoned like that exercise equipment you bought in January." And without hesitation, they pulled them up. These were not just spreadsheets. These were lifelines, color-coded systems, custom formulas, conditional formatting that lit up like Christmas when a deal was ready to close. These were masterpieces of necessity, born from frustration and perfected through daily use. I did not interrupt. I did not judge. I studied every column header like it was scripture. Then I asked the million-dollar question. Is this right here, what we're looking at on the screen, is this everything that you guys need in order to track your prospects and close deals? Nothing more, nothing less? The Zoom call went silent. Their faces on screen pretty much froze. They started looking at each other and then back at me, almost suspicious of the simplicity of the question. Then their top performer unmuted himself and said what everyone was thinking. "Yes, this is what works. Everything else in Salesforce is pure garbage that slows us down." And that's when I knew precisely what we needed to do next. Not just a nugget of insight. This was a whole damn vein of it. You see, most Salesforce consultants would have walked in with some pre-built solutions, but we did the opposite. We found their solution first, the one that they'd already built and that they were actually using. And then we reversed engineered it back into Salesforce. This was not just a blueprint. This was a declaration, a crystal clear message from the trenches saying, "This is what winning looks like for us." And the craziest part? In 5+ years of paying Salesforce consultants hundreds of thousands of dollars, no one had ever bothered to ask them this simple question. This is why most CRM implementations fail. They're built for managers, not for the warriors actually doing the fighting. They're designed for reporting to senior management, not for winning deals. But what if, and hear me out, what if we built Salesforce to work exactly like their beloved spreadsheets, but with all of the power of an enterprise platform behind it? That's when everything changed. I turned to them and I said, thank you guys for sharing all of this with me. I now understand exactly what you need. After that meeting, I went straight to work in a sandbox environment. I created a brand new account page layout, one that was specifically designed based on their feedback. I did not focus on contacts or opportunities yet, just the account page. I removed all of the unnecessary fields that they never used. I only included the exact data points that they were tracking in their spreadsheets that were actually data points of the company, of the account that they were working with. I arranged everything logically, putting the most important information at the top. I made it clean, I made it simple, and actually usable for their day-to-day work. I then scheduled a meeting for the big reveal. When they saw what I'd built based on their feedback, they were beyond thrilled. But here's what was powerful. They realized that this was just the beginning. One of the reps looked at me and said, wait, we've only fixed the account page. What about all of our contacts and opportunities and quotes? I smiled and replied, exactly. We're not done, not even close. But we started with the page that you said you use most often and gives you the most pain. And now we're going to tackle the rest one by one using the exact same approach. What happened next was remarkable. The entire energy around Salesforce transformed. The same people who were avoiding it were now actively contributing ideas for how to improve other parts of the system. They went from, this system is broken and we hate it, to, we can actually fix this thing almost overnight. It was not about technology. This was about trust. Trust that someone was finally listening. Trust that their needs mattered. Trust that Salesforce could actually be built for them, not despite them. And that mindset shift from resistance to readiness was worth more than any feature we could have built. What did we accomplish within 30 days? Every rogue spreadsheet deleted. System adoption skyrocketed 80%. Executive dashboards finally showed real-time data that they could actually trust. Those same reps who were avoiding Salesforce like the plague, they transformed into the fiercest champions, walking around the office saying, have you seen this? Salesforce actually works now. We didn't need to rebuild the system. We did not need a 6-month roadmap. We did not need more tools or app exchange apps. We needed to remove friction. We needed to restore trust and build what people actually needed. But here's what you need to understand from our approach. While this client was special, as all clients are in their own way, the method that we used is incredibly simple and nearly always the same. Before we make any assumptions or any changes in Salesforce, regardless of how much we know about Salesforce, we first meet with the team experiencing the most pain. We listen. We document. We also empathize. Our goal is not to showcase how smart we are. It's to identify the real problems hijacking their time and causing them frustration. This has nothing to do with adding fancy new features. This has nothing to do with complex customizations. This has nothing to do with installing expensive App Exchange apps. It's about identifying organizational problems and methodically solving them in the most practical, simplistic, and maintenance-free way possible. The technology is secondary, and the people are primary. And that's why this approach works universally, because it's focused on the human experience, not software. Are you ready to experience this transformation yourself? That's what we do with the Salesforce Rescue Package. It's a 12-week transformation for companies who are done wasting time and money on a system that nobody uses. Here's what you get. Sprint 1, user adoption. We partner with your Salesforce admins to uncover exactly why users are not adopting the system. Together, we develop a methodical approach to prioritize pain points and create a simple, trackable roadmap to address each issue systematically. Sprint 2, data cleanup. We partner with your Salesforce admins in order to identify the specific data quality frustrations that your team faces. These might include duplicate fields. It might also include duplicate record types, records owned by inactive users, or outdated and incomplete records. In this phase, we'll uncover all of these issues and develop a tailored strategy to address them, exploring appropriate reports and apps that can facilitate resolving them. While duplicates often get the spotlight, they're typically just a small fraction of the many data quality issues preventing teams from trusting native dashboards in Salesforce. We'll tackle all of those obstacles to restore confidence in your data. In Sprint 3, we focus on technical debt. We identify the user interface issues causing frustration. We partner with your Salesforce admins to uncover the aesthetic and UI-related problems directly from your users. These often stem from overly complex roles, profiles, page layouts, permission sets, record types, cluttered screens, and outdated automations. We'll document which customizations were maybe once critical in the past, but now create unnecessary complexity. Then we're going to develop a systematic approach to simplify the system. If any part of this story hits home, click on the link below, and you'll see exactly how this works. No gimmicks, no nonsense, just results. You've already paid for Salesforce. Let's finally make it work for you.